Do not listen to this recording while driving a vehicle or operating machinery. Only listen when and where it is safe to relax deeply. Welcome. The purpose of this guided sleep meditation for resolving toxic shame is to help individuals struggling with a sense of shame gain a better understanding and a clearer perspective of this situation, with a focus on resolving it, which will, in turn, enable them to live more freely while moving towards a more abundant life. And this can be accomplished either while sitting down with your spine straight, if you feel like applying yourself more robustly, perhaps using cushions to support your knees, hips, and general back area, or lying down if you feel like relaxing more passively. Either way is fine. And once you are comfortably situated, you can gently close your eyes if you have not already done so. And as you do, take note of your breath, because it may be that you are using both your nose and your mouth together for breathing in and breathing out. Or maybe you are using only one or the other, and either way is perfectly all right. As you settle in and follow your own unique, individual, naturally relaxing breathing rhythm, because you will be the captain of your ship throughout this entire voyage. And you'll be able to disembark anytime you feel like doing so. So now you can prepare to relax deeply. By bringing your thoughts to your crown, your scalp, the very top of your head and body, for that matter. Perhaps detecting, somewhat surprisingly or remarkably, some tightness in this area. As you slowly and gradually begin quieting the mind. While embarking on a journey within. Transposing now to the temples, around the eyes, as well as the forehead, where very strong, ever-present tension and stress may also very well reside. Letting it all go. Letting it all melt away. Slowly. Little by little. Gently releasing pressure, anxiety, worry, loosening, dislodging, tightness, tension, stress. As you continue steadily breathing in and breathing out. Knowing that if ever you naturally feel like taking the occasional deeper breath in order to replenish the air in your lungs, then your body will simply do so, because after all, you're only following your instincts while doing what comes automatically. By just absorbing air in and letting air out. Taking in what you need, releasing what you no longer need. Perhaps discovering along the way, as these moments continue to unfold, more reflective aspects of yourself. Greater discernments, deeper thoughts, not taking in more than you can handle, just taking in the precisely correct amount allotted to you today. Not forcing anything, just following the flow. The proper natural course, which is right for you at this time in your life. Focusing more specifically now on that pulsating center between the brows, above the bridge of the nose. Looking within. Freeing up new inner dimensions and sensitivities. Perhaps liberating new understandings and insights. Expanding the mind to new potentials, possibilities, going deeper. Where profound repair, regeneration, restoration will occur. All of this while continuing to feel safe, secure, protected. Relaxing the cheeks now while slackening the jaw. As we make our way down to the throat. And determine that this is a time to take a courageous inventory of the speech, the everyday spoken word, because on occasion, hurtful, harmful things might have been said. Sometimes unintentionally, simply brought about as a result of feeling defensive, unsafe, or insecure. Conversely, one little positively encouraging message, well placed, well timed, can mean so much and make such a world of difference. So acknowledging the throat and the voice for the powerful instruments they are, and forgiving others as we forgive ourselves for things that might have been said or left unsaid. We resolve, going forward, to speak with greater harmony, temperance, and we let our communication be yea and nay wherever possible, and to resonate more from the heart. Thereby cultivating, encouraging love, compassion within, while outwardly conveying goodwill, kindness to others. Selflessly transmitting hope, encouragement whenever we can, thereby engendering a stabilizing waterfall of overall uplifting acceptance. A caring yet balanced forbearance. An attentive yet detached and non-judgmental disposition. Taming uneasiness. Soothing the nerves. In the stomach. At the solar plexus. Enhancing moderation, equilibrium, composure. With a greater sense of longer-term peace, tranquility. As we initiate an outright return to the authentic self. Where we get ever closer to experiencing the soul's true nature. While becoming more in tune with our internal benevolence. Touching intuition, recognizing, understanding that we truly have within us the intrinsic quality of being everything we were always meant to be. Of unshackling ourselves from whatever past behaviors, entrenched habits, old thought patterns that admittedly might have served us or been relied upon in the past along our journey, but today no longer genuinely serve us anymore. And this may become further evident the closer down we move into the essence of our being. From the point of our creative conception to the point where we merge into this physical world, firmly grounded, we choose to develop, expand, and manifest our inherent power by applying practical, realizable self-direction and control. As we exercise our all-knowing wisdom and free will, thereby evolving into our own rightful, sacred excellence and purity, one singular, decisive act at a time. For instance, in regards to resolving shame, whether you feel your current sense of shame is specific to one clearly identifiable event, or more of a generalized, abstract nature, for the purposes of this resolution process, can you recall one singular typical event or behavior which causes you to feel shame, which could be focused on and utilized now? Can you recall one singular shame event which could be focused on now? And as you bring to mind this scenario where either your self-image or behavior causes you to feel shame, perhaps you can create a visual of it and position it somewhere around the upper left quadrant of your internal field of vision. Create a visual somewhere around the upper left quadrant of your internal field of vision. And perhaps in your mind's eye, you can visualize it as being too close for comfort, in your face, taking up a lot of energy, perhaps characterized, for example, as a dim, unpleasant, frozen in time, negative snapshot in your face. And if there are other individuals involved in this scenario, notice that they might also seem larger than life, punctuated in their staring, condescending, or condemning judgmental expressions. And as you now distinctly discern the extent to which this sense of shame negatively impacts you, both emotionally and physically, you can, for starters, firmly yet respectfully and impersonally resize all of those individuals back into their normal proportions, so that all of you are now at the same level and relative size. Which, interestingly enough, you can perhaps detect immediately changes their perspective on things, whereby they now begin focusing more on themselves and each other, which in turn makes everyone automatically, instantly want to become more tolerant, accepting, forgiving. Instead of fixedly focusing on others in some judgmental way. And furthermore, if in this visual you see yourself naked, distorted, or undignified in any manner, then you can simply rectify that situation and reframe things so that you look like the normal, respectable, dignified person that you know you are. Nothing more, nothing less. And with that, clear your mind now of this visual. Clear your mind now, perhaps by flickering your eyes and shaking things out, if it helps. Because it's time to bring up a more appealing, positive, life-affirming scenario. Can you now recall a situation where, even though you knew at the time that you weren't necessarily meeting other people's so-called expectations or standards, you nevertheless carried on without any shame or embarrassment, because you had reasonably concluded that it was sensibly acceptable for you to proceed the way that you did? Can you recall a situation where, even though you knew you weren't necessarily meeting other people's expectations, you nevertheless carried on without any shame or embarrassment? And as you create this visual, allow yourself to fully step into your naturally dignified, self-respecting authenticity. And let this positively charged scenario be illuminated like the sun. Because, after all, when you follow your inner voice and remain true to yourself, the real you brilliantly shines through. And perhaps this time you can position this new, congruent, integrated, gracious visual on the other side, somewhere around the upper right quadrant of your internal field of vision. The upper right quadrant of your internal field of vision. And notice also that all of the people in this scenario, including yourself, are respectively similar in proportionate size and importance. And everyone is generally more accepting, cordial, and even compassionately tolerant of one another's vulnerabilities and humanity. And as you now reacquaint yourself with this strong, poised, more peaceful and serene internal state, you can clearly see the glaring differences between this new life-affirming, animated flow and that old, staid, dim, fixed in time, negative snapshot. And therefore, being more aware now of these two contrasting dispositions, you can decidedly and proactively take those old, gauche, left behind, negative characteristics and move them across from the left side to the right side, so that they now become properly aligned to your new, correct, sunny-sided, genuine image that now exactly fits your dignified self. Move those old left-sided characteristics across to your new right-sided, genuine, dignified self. And observe how all of those old left characteristics are so happily adapting and quickly adopting, transfiguring into their new, much brighter, warmer, and friendlier reality. Like they had been waiting on you to make this happen all along. And as you fully take in this new, more realistic resolution, perhaps you might have noticed that at some previous point, we inferred that shame can sometimes stem from a self-conscious belief that certain behaviors might not be meeting certain standards. And if this is truly the case, then perhaps you might agree that it behooves us all to continuously evaluate both the appropriateness of our behavior as well as the suitability and reasonableness of those various standards, in order that we may judiciously aspire to walk with integrity. For example, let's say on one end of the spectrum, an individual agrees that a particular standard makes sense and should therefore be adhered to, yet personally failed to do so. In this instance, perhaps you could agree that it is incumbent on the individual to make adjustments, perhaps by providing a pledge to do better going forward, along with, if suitable, an atonement. On the other end of the spectrum, if an individual categorically disagrees with a given standard, then perhaps the group in question could be told, in no uncertain terms, to go their own way. But then again, perhaps a more diplomatic approach, including a respectful explanation as to why the standard might not or cannot be adhered to might prove to be a wiser approach, especially if the friendships and associations are valued. And somewhere in the middle, we might find a situation where an individual agrees in principle with the given standard, but not with some parts of it, in which case there could be an honest discussion which could perhaps include some requested amendments, which in the end might ultimately benefit everyone involved. And finally, one might choose to simply go along to get along, if it's no big deal either way. And so, you can be pleased now, because you have cleared for yourself a new path which leads to a greater understanding, a greater awareness, and you will find in time that the more of these positive steps you take, the more enabled and graciously empowered you will increasingly become. And as we close this session, you'll be able to carry with you, going forward, an evolving sense of progressing well-being, while being armed with the knowledge that you can always replenish your source, perhaps by redoing this or any other such exercises, either as a reinforcement or as a refresher, as you continue moving towards the fulfillment of your ultimately enlightened destiny. And out of curiosity, what happens now when you try stepping back into that old, left behind paradigm? It doesn't fit who you are anymore, does it? It's different now, isn't it? Thank you. Goodbye.